Don't tell me you haven't done that. If you haven't done that, then
Sick.
there are people out there for you. There are people waiting to hear you, to experience you.
Free stuff.
But you have to value yourself. Most musicians are set up to fail because of this one simple but powerful part of us that never gets trained. Hello, and welcome to my podcast. My name is Deanna. I am a singer, pianist, and sound healer. And let's jump right in. As a musician, we are trained constantly on our instrument, how we play things, how we sing things. And this one part of me, it was spoken about every so often, but we never truly develop this muscle. And you might think I'm a little crazy because I talk about this, but it is our mindset. Now, let's talk to the sopranos for a second in the room. I'm a soprano. We know that when we go into a soprano section that there are mind games going on. As soon as you walk in there, they are looking at you up and down. You start singing, they're listening to what you sound like. If you have high notes, they're looking to see if you can do it. There's this whole thing that goes on. I'm in a choir right now and it's still happening. From the time I was younger, it still happens. And I know that some of these things happen in other parts of bands and choirs. Um, but yeah, that our mindset is not talked about really. Sometimes we talk about visualization or we talk about characterization. If we're singing a particular song, like what is the character feeling? Like we go into that type of mindset, but we don't really talk about a healthy mindset for us as an artist. And one of the things that we do is we compare ourselves to other performers. We sometimes can be jealous, if there are auditions for something and someone either gets a part or they get the solo. There are these feelings that come up in us, and sometimes we can doubt ourselves and think like, well, if I didn't get that, then I must not be good. There are so many mind games that we play as musicians that, because it's not talked about and because we don't deal with that, those those thoughts, they stay in our mind for years. And I know that that had happened to me. As I said, being in music from the time I was young, we're being judged from the beginning. You're being judged. I got to adjust my mic. You're being judged by the people you are surrounded around. If you are auditioning, you are obviously being judged by the people who are listening to you, and your brain goes crazy. You're like, am I good enough? Do I sound right? Do I know enough about this? Do I have my song memorized? I mean, there are all kinds of things that flow through our minds and distract us from being the artist that we are meant to be. And I know, we're human. We are going to have those negative thoughts that come into our mind, but we need to be trained on how not to let that stay with us and not let it affect the artist that we are. The second thing that I want to point out is a scarcity mindset. And I alluded to this a little bit when I talked about, someone getting a solo. When we have that scarcity mindset, we are thinking like, oh, if someone gets this gig, then there aren't enough gigs for me. Or you know what? I'm going to lower my price because I know, or you've done this before. You've gone on Gig Salad and you've looked at other artists, you've checked out their pages, and you want to know how much they charge for something. So You go and you send them a message and you say, "I'm interested in blah, 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 blah," and you get a quote from them. Don't tell me you haven't done that. If you haven't done that, then you should actually try. But anyway, you check out what do other people charge, right? And if you have a scarcity mindset, you're like, "Oh, they charge this amount of money, so I'm gonna go below that, and I'm gonna charge this amount of money so I can get more jobs." That is a scarcity mindset. And let me tell you, do not do that. Please, please. That does not help us as a profession. There are people for your music. There are people out there for you. There are people waiting to hear you, to experience you. I We get into this mindset of scarcity where we feel like there's not enough. And if this person gets it, then I can't get it, or I can't get any work. It's just not true. We have to we have to know that there is an abundance of gigs and opportunities out there for us. The other thing, I'll talk about this in another podcast, is how we're trained while we are in school and during music lessons. So this brings me to the next point. My third and final point is we don't think like a business. So instead of trying to quote someone at a lower rate so that we can try to get more business because we are in the scarcity mindset, we need to think like a business. And we are never taught or trained how to think like a business. We know that we are artists and we are creative, and a lot of times we don't like to, put that business hat on us, or we think like that may constrict us. But really, when you go to school for music, you need to learn how to run a business if you want to make money. A lot of times, we are also trained to wait for permission, or we are trained to wait for affirmation. Like, we are not given the mindset of you need to go out and do and look for the opportunities. We are typically told if you are good enough, you're going to get work. And that is not true. There are people out there who are not as good as you, and they are making a living or making money from music. And they are very, very talented people who could be super famous and sing better or perform better or play better than people who are making millions of dollars, and they are not making a penny from their artistry. That is the truth. And when we are ingrained with this thought that if you are good enough, you're going to get work, then it trains us not to go out and look and search for the opportunities. It also puts that negative voice in our mind that if opportunities are not coming to me, then I must not be good enough. So it's this vicious cycle, vicious cycle. So we have to train ourselves to think like a business. A lot of times we are also taken advantage of as artists because we absolutely love what we do, and we would do this for free. It is something that is innate in us. We were made for this. We feel amazing when we're doing it. We could do it for hours and nobody would have to pay us, and we would still do it. And because of that, there are people who take advantage of that. And it's not really their fault. It is the way that our society also has been trained. So we've been trained a certain way. Our society has been trained a certain way. If We love helping people. We love being able to share our music with other people. And when someone asks for that, and if we get an inkling of maybe they can't afford us or they want us to do something for free, we kind of pause and kind of, think about it and be like, yeah, well, I would love to do this. And a lot of people know that that's the way that we lean. And so they will flat out ask if you can do something for free. Now, I'm not saying that you can't ever do something for free. I just think when you are thinking as a business, you call a plumber, they're not going to come to your house for free, right? They are qualified, they are trained, they know what they're doing, they are a professional. When you are a musician, you have been trained, you are qualified, you are a professional. So, if you're going to call a plumber and you are willing to pay for them because you need that service, why is it that our society is not trained that I need a musician for this? I need this service. I'm happy to pay for it. Because our profession is viewed as a hobby, that it's something that you do for fun, that it's something that is easy. Forget about the years of practice that you do, the hours that you spend creating and practicing, the equipment that you have, the instruments that you have, your experiences that bring you to the point where you are now. If you add that all up, it would be thousands of dollars. Some of you, it's probably millions, depending on like the instruments that you have and the equipment that you have. But we don't think like that, and our society doesn't think like that. So we are never valued as a professional who needs to be or should be, or, someone who's willing to pay. And as I was saying before, you can do things for free, but putting on your business hat, think how many times a year am I going to do something for free? Pick a number. If you wanna do once a quarter, you wanna do 4 times a year, you wanna do 6 times a year, you wanna do once a month, 12 times, 24 times, whatever it is, you decide what you want to do and how often you want to do something for free, so that when the opportunities arise and you're like, "I really, really want to help them," and you can fill up that slot. And if you get to a point where you really don't want to do a lot of freebies and you're like, I just want to do 2 a year. You got 1 down, you got 2 down, and then someone messages you and says, "Oh, we're doing this thing. Could you do it for free?" You didn't really want to do it. You have other things on your plate. You can say, "I'm sorry, I have 2 slots where I, give back to the community, and those 2 slots are full." It's simple like that. It doesn't have to be, taxing on you or, a difficult conversation, but if you think about that and you set that aside, "I'm going to give this amount of time to free work," then you won't feel like you're neglecting someone. It's just the time that they asked you, your slots were already full. Just think about if you had a gig and someone had booked you for a day. That happened to me yesterday. Someone messaged me last week. She didn't get back to me until 5 days later. I gave her 2 dates to book, and by the time she got back to me, somebody booked one of the dates that she wanted, and it was the date that she chose, and I had to tell her, I said, "I'm so sorry, this date was booked. I have this and I have this." So it's kind of the same thing. You gotta think like a business. So our music typically helps other people, and we feel bad if, we say no to doing free stuff, but you have to value yourself. If you don't value yourself, nobody else is going to value you. So you have to do that first. And that all starts with your mindset. So I have an acronym for my music business. And ironically, the acronym is music. And today we talked about the M, which is mindset. Having a healthy mindset, not comparing ourselves to other people, not being jealous, not having a scarcity mindset. There is enough opportunity out there for us. We don't have to be jealous of other people if they get gigs. We don't have to underbid another musician because we think that we can get more work. Um, and then we need to think like a business. All of that is mindset. The U in music stands for understanding. And next week, I have three special guests who are senior living lifestyles directors, and they book entertainment in senior living venues. The very unique thing about this group is that they are all in entertainment. They are entertainers as well, musicians, actors, actresses. So they can see both sides of the coin. They are here next week and they are going to give you their insights on how you can get booked in senior living venues. Until next time, I'll see you. Bye.